AM 1230 WBVP, 95.7 FM, and 1460 AM WMBA, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
Rush Hour is just getting started on Beaver County Radio. It's time for Driving in the Fast Lane with Frank Sparks. It's the show that talks about what's happening in the news, locally, regionally, and nationally. There will be guests, and Noah Haswell will have the news at the top and bottom of each hour. You're in the Fast Lane. And now, here is the host of the show, Frank Sparks.
Hey, good morning and welcome in on this Tuesday morning to Driving in the Fast Lane. Frank Sparks, and we got a lot going on for you today as it's the third Tuesday of the month. You know what that means. Here in the 10 o'clock hour, our good friend Tom Young is in the house. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, Frank, it is great to be here.
We're in trouble. I can tell. You know how I know when we're in trouble?
Well, how?
I know we're going to learn something today because I see all the note cards out, so I know.
Today is about mind power.
Right.
I really want to dig in today to why people aren't getting ahead. You know, I got all this stuff. If people knew what I could show them and knew what I could do for them, I honestly believe they would be lined up out my door in Beaver. And between thinking that way and looking at my 49 years I've been involved in this business, and I would say the last probably 25 years or so, really did I focus on what I do in uplifting people financially, mentally, spiritually, to achieve the maximum success in their life. And it isn't just about selling somebody something. I don't sell stuff anymore to people. People buy a lot of product from me. I make a great living on what I do. But they have to know enough to decide what they want. I'm Tom Young. I own a company in Beaver called First Consultants, Inc. We actually do business across the country. I'm licensed in 38 states right now. I want to focus today on the real power of positive thinking.
How many years of experience is that sitting in front of you right there? If you're watching on Facebook, you'll see what I'm talking about.
My notes get recycled. I mean, I have probably about 5-6 inches that I sit for a couple hours, like yesterday and last evening, going through and putting together my thoughts. So I got lots of notes. I may not always follow exactly the notes,
right.
but I have them in front of me.
Okay.
My most recent 2 books is Financial Mastery Coaching, The Blueprint, and behind that was The Family Money Farm, The CFO Project. Those 2 books, you can get both of them as a download electronic copy. Go to cfo-project.com. Put in your name and email address. You will get an email that will allow you to download both of those books cover to cover. And I believe the answers to all of your financial ills are in those 2 books. The Family Money Farm, the CFO Project, actually I wrote a couple of years ago. And then the Family Money Farm, book 2, which is Financial Mastery Coaching, The Blueprint. You know, my mission statement is to help people achieve maximum success. Financially, personally, business-wise, physically and mentally. I mean, you've seen my picture, Frank. It's a radio, and I can't show that picture on here, but I'm at 76 years old. I believe you would agree that I'm a little ripped in physically fitness, even a year and a couple months after open heart surgery in August 30th of 2024. You know, where do we start? You know, the statistic I throw out to people, which is from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics of the federal government, 95% of the people end up dead or dead broke. Now, why is that? I don't know. I heard that the first time I heard it was 49 years ago when I was selling life insurance door to door in the beginning of my career. And as I got to meet people and understand them, and then I took some courses on personalities. So I have 3 advanced certificates in DISC, D-I-S-C, which is personality studies. And what I have learned through that, even myself, I'm what I would consider a high D, which is somebody that is dominant, a doer, get it done type person. But the thing about a D personality, you don't tell them what to do. I mean, I would bend over backwards to help anybody to nth degree that I was physically, mentally capable of helping people, but don't tell me what to do. And I think of that when I learned that, and I think back when I was in high school, and I graduated high school with a D minus, folks. I wasn't the star grade at high school because they didn't know how to motivate me. When you're in school, what do the teachers do? They dictate to you and tell you what to do. and I don't deal well.
Right.
And I didn't understand that back then, but you tell me what to do, I'm going to be obstinate. I'm just not going to do it.
Right. That's probably why we get along, because I'm the same.
But I look back, and in my senior year, I took half of the year was economics. And the teacher's name was Boudris, and I loved that course. I actually got straight A's in that course on economics. And I think of today what I do, and there was a spark there at that time. And I took U.S. history with a guy, and he never taught anything. We'd go to class, and it would outline the next 2 chapters, be a test on Friday. And that was the whole thing. And I actually flunked that course. So with an A on economics, half a year, and F1, they gave me a D minus. So I was able to graduate and get out of high school and do that. But so that 95%, over my years and experience, I see people that are caught. They're trapped in that 95% syndrome because of, number one, they don't have a purpose or a dream or something that they want bad enough to change. Because there's a great saying, if you want something different, you're not going to get anything different doing the same thing over and over and over again. You go to work every week and every couple of weeks or a week, you get a paycheck. And that paycheck, based on the number of hours you worked, is going to be exactly the same every 2 weeks. But yet people think they get that paycheck, there's going to be more this week. Well, no, there's not. You didn't put any more extra. You didn't grow any. You didn't get a promotion at work. You didn't apply yourself. Will Rogers once said, the problem in America isn't so much that people don't know. The problem is what people think they know that just ain't so. And that is a big, big thing that's going on. And I look at the financial arena, and there's 850 life insurance companies out there sell some kind of life insurance. But 99.7% of them are corporations owned by stockholders that operate for the profit of the stockholders. And the marketing, and they spend a lot of money, billions of dollars on advertising. Then we go over here to these other companies that are less than 1% of the companies. Today, in my mind, there's 10 or 20 of them. Dividend-paying mutual companies where you, the policyholder, are an owner of the company. And under federal tax law, they must distribute profits every year at the end of the year among all the policyholders with a formula based on how much you pay, how old your policy is, and et cetera, so that it's fair. The other, Albert Einstein said, you can't solve the problem at the same level of thinking you were at when you created it. And that's where it comes down to the personal growth thing. You either decide to grow you, or the world will grow you into what they want you to be, and they will render you in the 95%. So there is a statement in that where, think about it. If you're not purposely, ambitiously, or growing, reading a good book once in a while, and I don't mean novels, I mean a book that will help you become a better person tomorrow. The 3 books that I read everywhere in January, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, How to Win Friends, Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and The Magic of Thinking Big by Dr. Schwartz. Those 3 books, if you committed to reading those 3 books and applied what you learned in those 3 books, I would guarantee you would see a future that you didn't even believe existed before you read those books. And that, I guess, is the problem, because people can't see. And you only get a vision when you add ability to your 6 inches. The greatest real estate in the world is the 6 inches between your ears. And I've heard that saying 1,000 times from Jody, one of my mentors in life, and I've told that story about Jody Victor. His mom and dad were 2 of the original 9 people that started Nutrilite in 52, that became Amway in 1959, and he changed my life. But I did what he suggested I do. I read the books that he suggested that I read, because I can't make you more than you are unless you want to be more than you are. Does that make sense, Frank?
Absolutely.
You can't be more than you are unless you want to be more than you are.
Yep.
And with that, I mean, there are rules when we talk about the financial side of things. 4 goals. Number 1, save enough money. Now, my number is 20%. Now, historically, the financial world has always said, save 10% of your money. Always save 10%. Pay yourself first 10%. And you know, Frank, I've done the math, and I do the math every day with people and with clients and people that come to see me. 10% don't cut it. If you have a lifestyle that you live every day, and all of a sudden the retirement door comes and you open the retirement door, do you want the same lifestyle after you open that retirement door than you had before you retired?
Absolutely.
Isn't that would be, in my mind, that would be a purposeful goal. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to maintain my lifestyle throughout my life expectancy without making adjustments for my lifestyle because I'm running out of money. And I actually run the movie for people. I have software. I call it running the movie. We put all of your information in the software, and while you're sitting there in front of me, I show you, put it in, you see everything I'm doing, and then we hit the button go, and all of a sudden it shows the income you're taking off of what you have, your Social Security, any pension, all of that comes out, and then all of a sudden, oops, at age 73, you ran out of money, and now you're down to basic Social Security. So what happened to your lifestyle when that happened, Frank? I think you were forced into a lifestyle adjustment. Mm-hmm. And I always say to people that there are 3 levels there. When you retire, there's the go-go years. You dreamed all of your life to get to retirement, and you want to travel, you want to do this, you want to go fishing, you want to go hunting, whatever it is. Those were your dreams, your aspirations throughout your life, and those are go-go years. Well, after a while, for most people, health catches up, creak in the bones and little aches and pains, and now we go to slow go. So it's not go-go anymore, it's slow go. And we do that for a while, and then all of a sudden it's no-go. And if you understand what I just said, I bet you know people, your parents, you watch them as they grew older, and you just watch people cocoon. They close down everything to where they're just in this little cocoon of life when it comes to the no-go years on the back end of what we're talking about. So failure to save money. Current lifestyle is at war with your future lifestyle. We are so in tune by the computers, and I'm sitting here and I'm live on my Facebook page, and you've got me on your Facebook page. Yeah. So we're spreading this message literally around the world. I have followers that are in Europe and Pakistan and South Africa that come on here and say hi. But how every day I pray, Lord, give me the ability to change people's lives, to help them find the carrot that will lead them to doing what they need to do to really get help. Financial advisors always said that 10%. My number is 20%. I have found that saving 20% of your gross annual income is a bottom line. If you really expect to have a lifestyle of retirement that is same after retirement as before retirement, you need to save 20% of your gross annual income. Number 2, you need to accumulate capital that's accessible. It could be in a bank account. It could be in a cash value life insurance policy where you have access to the money. But you have to have access to at least 50% of your annual gross income. Now think about that for a minute. Now, if you make $150,000 a year. That means my goal would be to have access to $75,000. If I had access to $75,000, Frank, do you think I'd ever have to run a credit card balances and risk paying 21, 24, 28% interest on other people's
Shouldn't
money?
have to.
No. Or I need to buy a car. I need a furnace. Whatever I need, I have the capital, so I do not have to go and borrow from other people. But here's the kicker. The Family Money Farm, the CFO project, is I'll meet people and they say, well, I don't borrow money. I pay cash for everything. You finance everything you buy. You either pay somebody else interest to use their money, or you forfeit the interest you could have earned on your money by spending it.
Right.
So if my goal is to have a lifestyle at retirement that doesn't get reduced, I need to do what I call efficiency planning. I could say, there's traditional type of planning in the financial world. Then there's typical planning, which is going on today. Traditional planning was 80 years ago, 100 years ago, where people, they worked, almost everybody was self-employed in some way. They had a farm, a business, the general store in town or whatever. There wasn't a lot of employees. People worked for themselves. And they saved money. They bought a house and they paid it off as quickly as they could pay it off. So their goal was no debt and to accumulate assets. That's traditional planning. And 100 years ago, that was about permanent life insurance, because that was the key savings place for money 100 years ago. And that's where people saved money. And the rich people understood it because, I could look at history and policies that rich people own. The Rockefellers. There's a book called The Rockefeller Method. The Rockefellers were worth hundreds of millions of dollars at the turn of the last century, back in 1905. And what they did is, as they accumulated wealth, they bought life insurance policies on every family member. And they used that as their warehouse of capital. So when one of those people, one of the family members passed away, that death benefit came back in to the Family Money Farm, to the coffer, and kept added money. Yeah, I guess it's no wonder that the Rockefellers today are worth close to $1 billion today. Wow. In what they do. So the Rockefeller method. There are things in history where we learned how to do things differently, and we've lost our way. We're going to take a break and go to the news, and we'll come back, and we're gonna help you get in between your ears again and see if we can clean it out.
It's hard to even put a title on what Tom Young at First Consultants in Beaver does. Calling him a financial planner or an insurance salesman or even a life coach still doesn't accurately describe the experience. That's because he brings dreams back to life or puts life back into retirement.
My job is to create in you the vision of the you that I think you can be, the place that I think you can get to. And you know what? I get frustrated because I see more greatness in people than they see in themselves. I see greater financial futures than they see in themselves. Most people don't believe they can get there.
Find out more by visiting firstconsultantsinc.com or engage in Tom Young's live simulcast presentation on the third Tuesday of each month beginning at 9:10 a.m. on Beaver County Radio and Facebook Live. All advisory services are offered through PL Wealth LLC. PL Wealth is a federally registered investment advisor. PL Wealth is in no way affiliated with First Consultants Inc., nor is First Consultants Inc. a registered investment advisor.
If you own a company or a small business, you might have considered advertising on radio. It's smart because radio is still the most far-reaching media outlet today. WBVP and WMBA can get you results. Get more information at beavercountyradio.com.
Put freedom in your future. Freedom United Federal Credit Union in Rochester.
Struggles sweeten title for Larson. I'm Susie Armstrong. The story next on NASCAR Today. All the car parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good. doesn't it? eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hi, this is Mike Bagley. Join me along with the cast and crew of the Motor Racing Network every Tuesday night for NASCAR Live. Hear exclusive interviews.
I do think that if you're always are scared to make the big moves, you're just always going to be following the person that did.
The best moments from each of NASCAR's premier series.
Reddick slides up the racetrack. Briscoe gets away off turn 4.
An in-depth breakdown to the latest NASCAR news and more. It's NASCAR Live every Tuesday night at 7 Eastern.
2025 NASCAR Cup Series champion Kyle Larson acknowledged that mid-season struggles took their toll on the number 5 Hendrick Motorsports team. Pushing through their troubles, though, made the ultimate prize that much more satisfying.
Figured out, kind of where we had gotten off throughout the summer. And then, I think we quickly turned the corner and was good and started more consistently running in the top 5 and getting the stage points you need and all of that. And then got some luck along the way. So it was just a challenging year, but I think the challenges is what makes it, the championship that much sweeter.
I'm Susie Armstrong. This is NASCAR Today on the Motor Racing Network.
Beaver County Radio's news source. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and BeaverCountyRadio.com. Here's Noah Haswell.
Good morning. On this Tuesday, November 18th of 2025, we will have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. Today is the grand opening date for the new $1.7 billion terminal at the Pittsburgh International Airport. The construction started for this project in October of 2021, and the planning for it took a decade. This terminal project includes things like a reduced bag belt with just 3 miles of distance. A ruling came last Wednesday from the Pennsylvania Superior Court that the seller of a home that is now in Beaver County did not have to inform potential buyers of hate symbols embedded in his property. This comes after the Wentworth family filed a lawsuit when they found a swastika and what appeared to be a German war eagle, which was tiled under rugs and a table on the floor of their basement. The court decided that symbols tiled into the basement home of homeowner Lynn Ray Wentworth were not material defects that the seller needed to disclose prior to the purchase of the home. Wentworth now has just under 30 days to appeal. Pennsylvania State Police in Pittsburgh reported via release today that 54-year-old Andrew Jenkins of Pittsburgh crashed his vehicle into a deer in Findlay Township in the early morning of November 3, 2025. Upon further investigation, Jenkins was traveling in the right-hand lane of I-376 East, west of the Moon Business Loop, and when a deer entered that lane, he could not stop in time to avoid hitting it with his vehicle. Jenkins was not injured during this crash. According to a release from the Municipal Water Authority of Aliquippa, they are now reissuing public notification materials for completed sampling of lead and copper at approximately 35 residential homes within their service area that have lead service lines. 5 of the 35 locations had an exceedance of lead in a 2024 sampling. If you have any questions about lead in your water, call 724-375-5535 or see the tips to reduce lead exposure in water on our website at BeaverCountyRadio.com. James Franklin has been hired as Virginia Tech's football coach a little more than a month after he was fired during his 12th season at Penn State. The Hokies announced the move yesterday evening, becoming the first Power 4 program to fill a coaching vacancy this season. Franklin is set to be formally introduced at a news conference tomorrow morning. He was fired by the Nittany Lions on October 12th, a day after they lost at home to Northwestern to fall to 3-3. The 53-year-old Franklin went 104-45 at Penn State, and he led the Nittany Lions to a college football playoff first-round victory last season. And police in Pennsylvania are warning residents about a dangerous challenge on TikTok that involves kids recording themselves kicking in the front doors of the homes of people. One of the incidents related to this challenge was in Adams County on October 31st, 2025, in which a man kicked the front door of a home in McSherrystown Borough multiple times. The picture of that individual can be found on our website at beavercountyradio.com, and anybody who recognizes him is asked to call 717-334-8111. You can call your local police if you see incidents similar to these ones.
So wait, so we're supposed to? So that's a TikTok thing that you go kick people's door in?
I am not on TikTok, but when I saw this, I'm like, okay, just be aware that this could happen, and police are saying it's dangerous.
Tom, I don't know if you remember back in the day. I mean, we used to play hit and run. We called it hit and run. Knock on the door a couple times and run, and then the neighbor answers the door.
Either that, or you'd have a brown bag of dog poop, and you'd light the bag on the front porch, knock on the door, and they'd come out and stamp it out.
Yeah, now we're breaking down doors.
Toilet paper in the trees was another one.
I forgot about that one. So, all right, I guess we're doing weather now.
Yep.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Cloudy skies and a little bit chilly with rain likely through the afternoon and evening. We'll reach a high today near 40 and see overnight lows around 33. Tomorrow, look for increasing clouds with highs in the upper 40s and lows of 34. And mostly cloudy skies expected on Thursday, but it will be mild temperature-wise though, with highs near 52 and lows in the mid-40s. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
On this Tuesday, November 18th of 2025 at 36 minutes after 10, we've got a temperature of 35 degrees currently in Beaver County. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM, AM 1230 WBVP, 95.7 FM and 1460 AM WMBA. Also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
You're driving in the fast lane with Frank Sparks on 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. You can also stream live on beavercountyradio.com.
All right, coming up top of the hour, don't forget we'll have open talk in hour number 2, and we're going to bring up that New Brighton situation. New Brighton co-oping possibly with sports with Rochester. Obviously, we're going to talk about this door, hit and run and whatever you're smashing in doors, and then whatever else is on your mind. But anyways, in hour 1, we're visiting with Tom Young this morning for First Consultants. And Tom has been talking this morning about how to prepare yourself and what type of income you need if you want to have the proper retirement and a proper lifestyle.
There are 4 kinds of people, Frank. Saver, spender, wealth creator, and legacy provider. And how would I describe those? Well, the saver is somebody that they save money until they have enough to pay for what they want to buy. So they save it, and then they spend it. Then they save money for a while, and then they spend it. Save money and spend it. So over a long period of time, they never really get anywhere. They acquire stuff. Mm-hmm. They save money. I want to buy this, or I need a car, whatever. So when they save money until they get there, then they spend the money. But they never really gain ground. They never really have anything left over to plan for their future lifestyle. The spender are just the opposite. They borrow and then pay back. Think of a line, it's a line across, and so they go below the line. They borrow money and pay it back, and then borrow money and pay it back. That was my dad growing up. I mean, the finance store, the finance companies were the big thing. Now, back in those days, if you borrowed money at a finance company, your payments were interest first, and then you paid the balance back. Now, they eventually outlawed those loans, but imagine having a loan, so they calculated what the interest was, and that's what your payments were first. So you never really paid any principal until you were halfway down the road in the loan. So spenders never get ahead. Wealth creators, those are people, and I have met them over my career. They're savers. They save money and they accumulate money. They have 401ks, and their goal is when I die, I've spent it all. There's nothing left over. So they're wealth creators, right. And then I'm going to spend it. Nobody did anything for me, and this is an attitude issue. Because people say, my kids can do it. I had to do it on my own. My kids can do it also. And that brings me to biblical in the Old Testament. Is it to save money, pass wealth to our children's children? That's biblical. And if you have that kind of attitude in my mind, you're never going to be a winner at anything if that's your attitude about life and going forward. The legacy provider are people that they have a desire to leave something back, to leave something for their kids, their grandkids, to help them make life better for somebody else in the future. So that's really what it amounts to. You must balance your current lifestyle with your future lifestyle. And that's not easy because, there's always this next emergency that comes up. I had somebody yesterday that they come into my office a couple years ago, and they wanted to put $1,000 a month away. So we set up a policy that was part of premium, and then the balance was $1,000. Well, they put the $1,000 in the first month, and then they cut it back down to the minimum premium and never added a dollar extra for the last 2 years. And she called me recently and said, look, the illustration you showed me, it was going to have all this money in it by now. And so I looked in the file, and I got out a report of paid premiums. And I said, well, you remember when we started this, you were going to put in $1,000 a month, but you wanted to choose how much you could put more in or less in monthly. And I said, well, you never put any extra money in. So here you are, but that was a decision that they made. They made a decision to try to do something, and there's the word try. And I have a quote. What we see is an interpretation of the mind. We have to train the mind to interpret what we see. Mental nearsightedness and farsightedness. The major distortion of the mental vision. Mental nearsightedness, you're apt to overlook objects and possibilities that are distant, blind to opportunities that could be. By thinking and planning in terms of the future, you are nearsighted if you do not make plans from objectives, and the foundation for the future. It just, I have all these little cards, and you know where they came from, Frank? I read books. I mean, there's 10 books on my nightstand right now, and I'm not. Sometimes I get a book and I can't put it down till I'm done with it. Other books, I read a few chapters and I skip around in the book. But when I read something that has a profound saying, I write it down. This is another one, and this is important because what you get by achieving your goals is not as important as the you become by achieving your goals. Think of times in your life where you were working on something and you did it. You actually accomplished that goal. How did it make you feel?
Feel good inside.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to draw on that power in order to go forward and do that. So where can I get a real financial education? I named the 3 books, which is, in my mind, that's the mental education we all need. I need to train my mind to stay focused on goals that I know are important to me. Do you want to be poor and broke? Do you want to be part of the 95% when you get to retirement? Is that your goal, to be part of that 95%? Dead or dead broke when you get to retirement? Because if you're not working on you, if you're not doing anything that will make you better, understand more, see more things, if you're not working on the 6 inches between your ears, you are planning to be, you've accepted to be part of the 95%. And what was the 95%? Out of 100 young people, they've fallen through life. They went back to see them at age 65. 1 was rich. 4 were well off living their lifestyle they dreamt of. 5 were still working because they couldn't afford to quit. 36 have died. And 54 of them were dependent on other means for their pure survival, basic survival. And those are just facts, If some authoritative power distributed all the money in the world equally among the people, 10 years' time, 97% of it would be back with the 3%. Even if it was somewhat moderated to 75 and 25 of the people, it would still be the same result. Why do you think that this phenomenon happens? And here's from the Lord. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." Jeremiah 29:11 out of the Bible. "My people are destroyed from lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I also reject you as my priests. Because you have ignored the law of your God, I also will ignore your children." Hosea 4:6. Now, those are biblical, and let's open the thinking on that for a minute, and then we're gonna round out today with the human frailties, the human factor in the way we make our decisions. But we are in control. We have free will, and that 6 inches between your ears, you must grow it. You must make it better than it ever was before. And here's another one of my mind things. There is a thinking stuff of which all things are made, and within its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces a thing that is imagined by the thought. A person can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon the formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. Now, you're sitting there saying, well, what is that? Well, Frank, question. Everything we're sitting here, how did it? What was the origination of my telephone? Wasn't it a thought in somebody's mind?
Yes, it was.
Everything other than what God created naturally on the earth, which became all the resources. I mean, the sand on the beach, how much glass do you think they can make out of processing sand off the beach? Silica sand or sand off the beach is the creation of glass. What would we do today without glass? But there it was in abundance and the ability to create it. Well, I wonder how somebody figured that out, Frank. It's amazing to me when I think of these things. It just... it drives me nuts. So let's talk about the human things, the human nature things. The first one is, where did my sheet go? I got 2, 3, 5.
Ran off on them.
No. Oh, there it is. I already moved the page. There it is. My sheets of paper. Understanding Parkinson's Law. C. Northcote Parkinson. 1909 to 1993, Parkinson's Law says work expands to meet the time envelope allowed. What does that mean? Give a person 3 days to do a job, to complete a job, bet your grocery money that it won't be done till late in the third day. Give them 30 days and it won't be done till the 30th day. Procrastination is part of that rule of life. A luxury once enjoyed becomes a necessity. Expenses rise to equal income. And we all call that what we call that inflation and things, but we get a pay raise at work. And all of a sudden I can spend another $200 a month. So what can we buy that's $200 a month? Rule number 2, Willie Sutton's Law. Willie Sutton, 1901 to 1980, he was a bank robber. And why he continued, he was asked, why did he continue to rob banks? He says, that's where they keep the money. It's just that simple. Now Nelson, in his book, I read this book 25 years ago, and I thought, well, Willie Sutton, that's a story. Well, it was about a year ago on the news one day, Willie Sutton passed away. He was in a prison in New Jersey. And this guy was a real person, and they were telling his story, and he died in a prison in New Jersey.
That's funny.
Okay. Who was the biggest thief in the world, Frank?
Oh.
Who is the biggest thief in the world?
That's a tough one. There's
IRS.
Well, yeah.
IRS.
Okay. You got me on that one.
Okay. When tax becomes onerous to the point where government officials sense rebellion. they changed the rules, and they put out little gimmies. 1950s, the marginal tax rate was 92% in 1952. And what did the government do? They come up with an idea called pension plans. HR 10 plans for self-employed partnerships, 401k plans. So the tax was so onerous, but don't worry, we'll let you put some of it away and avoid today's tax, so you can pay the tax tomorrow instead of today. You know what was that? What was the Wimpy, the guy on? I'll pay you tomorrow for 2 hamburgers today on the Popeye cartoons. So they granted tax guards, to change the rules. Mm-hmm. But think about it. The tax rates have gone up and down over the years. The volume of money you pay in tax, did it really go down much?
No, it's increased, if anything.
So they changed the percentage and say, oh, look, we've lowered the tax rates. But how come I didn't pay less tax based on my income? The volume of money I paid in tax really didn't change much. So
well, you think it did because they have an inflated cost that makes it look like you get a return.
That's the other issue. Is you have more dollars, but the dollars are worth less money. They have been deflated. Mm-hmm. A dollar was a dollar in 1971. When Nixon removed us from the gold standard, and that was the end of what we remember the silver certificate said right on the money, payable to the bearer and demand gold and silver. Mm-hmm. That ended in 1971, 1972, and it opened what I call Pandora's box. The Federal Reserve now could print money from nothing. They could loan it to us or the federal government, and we paid them interest on money it cost them nothing to create. And that is no different today than it was in 72 and 73 when that Pandora's box was open. So think about it, folks. $38 trillion worth of debt. Where did it come from? Well, most of it was the Federal Reserve printed money from nothing. They loaned it out to the government or to wherever, and they get interest. And they are so good at it, Frank. For the last 2 years, they have been losing billions of dollars monthly. If the Federal Reserve was a bank today, they would be in default. They would be a bank in default. Now, how are they protected? I believe, folks, and I'm not going to get into that in today. If you come listen to me on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, I'm going to talk about things that you've never heard of before. And I'm going to bring proof to the table when I'm going to talk that day about the money, about crypto, and what is going on. Tom's opinion of what I see from multiple sources of what's really going on.
I'm going to be painting walls. I'm going to have to tune in while you check it out while I'm doing that. That's why I'm taking the day off so I get some paint done.
I'm going to be here. I'm going to have some fireworks information that day that is going on. Russia just said that they made a comment that Trump was going to eliminate the debt by changing it all to crypto. And we have the genius bill that was signed, which makes crypto a currency. Mm-hmm. So that there are things happening right now that are not forefront because the news media is not reporting. We already know the mainstream media does not report anything that is going on positive in the Trump organization or the federal government or any way, shape, or form. Let me finish up because we're going to run out of time here. The golden rule is number 3. Those who have the gold make the rules. It's just that simple. When we think about that, those who have the gold make the rules. So the golden rule is do unto others as you would have others do unto you. I understand that. That's what we all think. But whoever has the gold makes the rules. Number 4, the arrival syndrome. I like this one. We already know all there is to know. And I've had people over the years in my office. They would have a PhD in something, and I don't know whether their brain got fried becoming a PhD. and I'm not saying all PhDs are that way, but in my experience, the few that I've attempted to do business with, you couldn't tell them anything because they were a doctor of information of some kind. They knew all the answers and they knew everything. And making that statement, what does that say? That means there won't ever be anything new again. We know it all. So there won't be anything new, Frank. There's nothing new coming on the horizon, mechanically, electronically, internet. Is that true? I don't think we have actually seen what is possible and what is coming down the pike. Ed Deming, 1900 to 1993, tried to teach us about quality. And we said, we know it. We already know all that. So then he went to Japan after World War II, and he was well known. And what did he grow the Japanese into? The highest quality products. I mean, you can't deny the Japanese automobiles and the quality of Japanese automobiles. I mean, my daughter has one, and they're just amazing. Daniel Boorstin, 1914 to 2004. He's a historian. Started this way. The greatest obstacle to discovery is the shape of the earth, the continents, and the oceans was not ignorance. It was the illusion of knowledge. Number 5, use it or lose it. And I think that is probably the most profound one that I could say is use it or lose it. And we all sort of do that. You have this masterful computer between your ears, and I see people, and they are literally losing their way. They are not applying what they could be doing. Knowledge is something that you learn. Wisdom is the ability to apply that knowledge to your everyday life. And I have all these little quotes. I want to finish the goals, and that's going to wrap up because we're down to a couple minutes.
Yep.
Save enough money, 20%. Number 2, accumulate accessible cash equal to 50% of your household income. No credit card balances. Could be bank accounts, cash value life insurance. Rule number 3, no consumer debt. And when you have to buy something, you're going to have capital purchases. You're going to have to buy things. Set the rule in your life to become your own banker. In other words, if you spend money for a capital purchase, set up an amortization schedule and pay yourself back your money plus the interest you would have lost. The goal is to have as much as you can have when you get to that magic day you would call retirement. There is no other way to plan this than to look at efficiency of everything that I'm doing today. How can I be more efficient at what I'm doing? That is what I do and what I help people learn how to do. Principle number 4, learn to be the CFO at home. You know, chief financial officer, we've all heard that. You know, that's a guy that runs the money of the company. If you got a job tomorrow as the CFO of a company, what would your first day be like? Wouldn't it be finding the money? Where's the money at? Where's it going? What's coming in? What's going out? If you are not looking at your household expenses, income, and savings in that way, you're guaranteed to be in the 95%. God bless you all. I'll close with a prayer for everybody. We need to save America. We need to pray for America, pray for our president, pray that things get turned around in some way under the guidance of the Lord above. In Jesus' name we pray. God bless everybody. Come and see me, Tom Young, First Consultants, 724-728-6820. God bless you all.
All right. Tom will also be here bonus day this month because he's filling in for me on Black Friday, which is November the 28th. So tune in at 10 a.m. for Tom as well then.
Guaranteed to be an interesting day.
Screwing up this country, but Congressman Guy Reschenthaler is fighting back. He backed one big, beautiful tax cut for working families, increasing the standard deduction for hard-working Americans, ending Social Security taxes for nearly all seniors,